No accounting for taste.
Well, he can't do that. He's not here to defend himself.
He's not here to defend himself. He beat him up. Fuck him. We'll
we weren't here to bust our balls. He was the man, dude.
Yeah, totally, man.
Smoking 300 cigarettes a day, but he was the man. What's going on now? That movie sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say, I will not watch that.
And even that version of Venom was stinky.
Yeah.
And even when they introduced fucking name, they're just doing it right.
Stick around, 'cause I am coming back. And I know someday I'm gonna make it better.
Talk about shit we talk about anyway. Just
seriously. That's the plan. That's the dream. But anyway, all right, let's get to the show. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Nick, John, and Jamie Show. I am John.
I am Nick.
Silence. The melodious, honey-sweet voice of Jamie is not present with this episode.
Yeah, where is our counterpart?
Oh, it's like, I was going to say, I was thinking about this when Jamie Jamie couldn't make it tonight. Jamie got jammed up. Unfortunately, this podcast isn't pulling in hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we do still have day jobs and
not yet, John. Not yet.
Well,
someday.
Dream a little dream. And Jamie, unfortunately, got between work and some balance on his with the home life. He's wasn't able to make it tonight. So, but he is here in spirit, most definitely. We'll have to drop a couple of key Jamie quotes. Something's got to be legit.
I don't know if we can do it justice, though.
Well, we'll definitely not be able to do it.
We got to bring in Howard Stern at some point.
Yeah, we got to mention Howard Stern.
Howard Stern at least once or twice.
Yeah. Something's got to be legit, and we have to bring up some grade A cocksmith for sure.
Yes. I was trying to research today some good story about somebody fucking something.
Yeah.
I just couldn't come across it. I even listened to Preston Steve's, Bizarre Files and all that, a little drop to them, but couldn't find anything, man. There was nothing going on today.
Well, he is sorely missed, but he'll be back, and we're going to mention a little bit about Venom, of course. I know Jamie was stoked about the idea of a Venom movie, but as it started to progress and more of the details came out, he was less and less enthused. So we'll welcome him back, and we'll bag on this new Venom movie for sure. But in his absence, let's get to weekend box office. In the weekend box office, what did we have? We had, as my great Googly Moogly pulls up the details, Night School. Kevin Hart had his movie come out, Night School. Comedy,
really?
Of course.
I didn't see any trailer for this at all.
It's him and kind of a newcomer, Tiffany Haddish, who's blowing up all over the place. She's a African-American comedic actress. She, I think it was Girls Trip was where she hit.
Was she in with what the Girls Trip or was it?
I didn't see the movie. It wasn't necessarily
Scarlett Johansson thing.
No, Girls Trip was when was it out? It was out in 2017. It had. I'm trying to look it up now, but it was a handful of people that were she basically stole the show. The premise is best friends, Ryan, Sasha, Lisa, and Dina, are in for an adventure of a lifetime as they travel to the world.
Yeah. It's all four black women.
Yeah, it's four black women. It's supposed to be really
like a Tyler Perry type movie.
Actually, it's not so much Tyler Perry movie because I believe it's good.
What are you trying to say, John?
I'm just saying. Medea's Boo just wasn't my cup of tea. It was great for my son, at the time, I think 10-year-old son.
They all love that. Aiden's the same way with that stuff. You ever look at they love for some reason, maybe I did too when I was that younger. I probably did. Loved all the crap movies.
Oh yeah, we love the ridiculous one. You're a kid. You like silly.
I was talking to Aiden the other day and I was telling him that you said the Predator was shit.
Yes.
And he was like, nah, John just doesn't like the genre. And I'm like, John liked all the Predator movies,
Absolutely.
the majority of them.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You don't know what you're talking about. And then I'm like,
The movie had so much potential. It's all over the place.
yeah.
You know, it's something to where I was watching it and I'm like, I'm trying to find storyline. And then at one point you could tell that there's pretty obvious, reshoots that were taken. It just seemed very patchwork.
Well, it's like growing up. I always relate this to, as I relate to everything to either Star Wars or Star Trek, being the geek I am. But I relate this to when I was growing up. Return of the Jedi was my favorite movie in Star Wars. Growing up. Now it's Empire.
Yeah.
Because I can appreciate the movie and the nuances that go through it, the ups and downs, the cliffhanger that had at the end, the overall arc it has for everything Star Wars. Star Wars, not to beat the dead horse, but the original Star Wars, A New Hope, opened the door. Empires drove it home.
Yeah. Yeah. Empire drove it home. Again, when I talked about this before, but the stuff that I really dug, and this going into like comic books when I was 9 years old and bought my first comic book, was the things that I thought were a little bit. If an adult knew what they were about, they would say, "No, you shouldn't be reading that as a 9-year-old." And I was like, "No, but I get it." And there's a little bit of you don't want people to talk down to you, and you want to be, you can. Good storytelling is good storytelling, right? And so. I think that Empire did that for us.
Yeah. Totally.
Like we were young kids when we first saw it and we were like, man, this is pretty, it's got a dark edge to it and it goes a little deeper and it's a little bit more sophisticated, but not so sophisticated that a kid of 9, 10, 11, 12 years old can't handle it or understand it.
But but what I was saying was I didn't fully appreciate it until I was older.
Oh, you not flopped in a bad way, but you switched gears and said, Jedi is my favorite, but now it's Empire.
Yes, because when I was younger, I was all flash in the pan, hero saves the day, which is still great. I love Jedis, still in my top 3 or 4, but it's just to appreciate movies the way I do now and to actually have substance, good writing. It's like, when you watch a Marvel movie, when you watch a DC movie, like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman turned out to be fantastic because it had good writing, good storytelling, good action scene. It all tied together well. Then you go to the other DC movies, not so much.
Yeah, and I think that was a bit of the problem with the prequels when they came out. I think that George Lucas was making them like for a very young audience, and he kind of, wanted to spring. It's for the kids, the Jar Jar Binks it's for the kids. The way that the way that the Imperial Army was like, the robots they had. There was a lot of kid-like nuance to it.
Yeah, totally. I think that's why they've gone wrong.
And the kids grew up. Mm-hmm. The kids grew up, and that's why they shit on it. They weren't 8, 9, 10-year-old kids anymore.
And then they start realizing, wow, that was really a dog movie. Yeah. I went and saw it when I was like 19 years old, and I was like, it's good.
Yeah.
That was Star Wars. I haven't seen a Star Wars movie in forever.
Yeah.
But, even the new generation that they're trying to make these new movies, again, they're not hitting on what really got Star Wars there. It's a base. If you want to go political, like they say, there's these bases of people that, are Democrat or Republican or Tea Party. There's a base of Star Wars fans. Mm-hmm. And with the prequels, they try to get away from the base. With these new editions, they're trying to get away from the base. And I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
I guess financial, money-wise, they think we're already going to get money from the base, so we're going to try to go somewhere else. But why not expand on that base?
Yeah, I mean, I think movies have gotten more sophisticated, which means, but they've gotten more sophisticated, well, for the most part. You still got Michael Bay movies coming out, but as
Somebody's writing him checks, man.
yeah, like we didn't have the internet when we were kids, so we couldn't go in and get interviews after interviews of the actors, get behind the scenes footage, understand the makings of and everything. And you want to continue to be surprised. You know, you want to continue to be like, holy cow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you want it tied together. If you're setting the stage and you already know going in, I'm doing multiple movies, try to tie it together better. Don't just try to match that together like try to stick a puzzle piece, a corner piece in the middle of the puzzle. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Audiences are smarter than you think. Yeah. They're not 1980s where you could just have some guy blowing up shit and have a hot chick walk across the screen and have a catchphrase at the end of it. No, that's the movie. Yeah. Yeah. We're not that stupid anymore. We know enough about TV, movie making, storytelling, especially nowadays with everything caught up to everything, like visual wise. There should be more to it than that.
Well, there's no good, every good story has to have an element of unpredictability about it, because you want to be able to be taking through an emotional roller coaster. And if you're like, yep, I can smell this one, could smell the beats coming from a mile away. Oh, yep, that's the definite hero. He's gonna lose the girl, get the girl, and win the race. You know, that's like, if you see that coming a mile away, you're like, why is this entertaining to me?
Game of Thrones changed that for me.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
It changed my...
Hell yeah. They're not really going to cut his head off. Spoilers.
No. Somebody's going to save him. Something's going to happen.
Where's Robin Hood? Right. He's got to be able to shoot that thing out of his hand.
Exactly.
Yeah. Someone please help this man.
I mean, I think that's just... there's pinpoints in like when movies started doing color, and then... first they started doing... sound, then they started doing color, and then you get on from there where Star Wars, when color came in, when Wizard of Oz, and then you had Star Wars, the next beat that came in with this genre of all the special effects, and that's
a great point.
Now you have the storytelling.
It evolved.
It's constantly evolving.
Yeah,
and as it evolves, the fans, the viewers get smarter and smarter. So you got to find, like you say, a way to trick them up, put them on this emotional roller coaster ride to get them up with their highs, down with the lows.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's got to continue to, like I said, it's got to continue to evolve. You know, you go from back in movie history, and now I'm not I didn't go to school to study film or anything like that, but if you look and see where Marlon Brando hit in his career, and then you look at the movies 10, 15 years before that, they were all like the Jimmy Cagneys and the Bogarts and stuff like that. And it's like that same type of sticky, it's sticky now, but like performance.
Here's looking at you, kid.
Yeah. It's like, well, I'll tell you what, that type, and then that's kind of bad impersonation. But
I actually watched some of the Jimmy Cagney movie, the one where he was the not to cut you off, but not that I watch old movies, but I've actually watched this one a couple of times. It's the one where he was the guy that did all the stuff on Broadway. He played the guy.
Like a director or a producer?
Producer/director. And it was based on a true story about Cohen, some guy named Cohen.
No kidding.
Yeah. You ever hear the Yanks are coming?
Yeah.
It was Cohen was the guy that did plays on that. It was for the First World War.
Was it good?
It was pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
You got to sort of put your brain aside and get yourself out of modern movie making.
Yeah, totally. When you go back, even like I'm a John Wayne fan. You watch the John Wayne westerns. It's like,
was your mom a John Wayne fan? My mom too, dude.
She got me into Duke.
Yeah,
I love all those movies, even his World War II movies. They were great, dude. He was the man, dude.
Yeah, totally, man.
Smoking 300 cigarettes a day, but he was the man.
He had a saunter. Every comedian imitated him, and he has this body of work that's like,
that was something he created. It was an image he created.
Yeah.
That wasn't who he really was.
Was it his real name?
I know John Wayne is not his real name.
Yeah, but it was like a woman's name, wasn't it?
Something like that. And he did sing, like his first movie.
Marion, that's what it was.
Yes.
Yes.
They
I thought it was
changed his
Hillary,
name.
but it was Marion.
He changed his name to John Wayne because it sounded so badass. Like, that sounds like a man. John Wayne. Yeah, Marion. Marion!
Yeah.
What?
What are you, Mrs. Cunningham?
That's John Wayne's a strong, powerful
Oh,
name.
yeah. Hell yeah.
You know? It's just, and I remember God, dude, I've seen almost every movie of John Wayne's.
There's a lot, dude. There's a lot. I mean, True
Eldorado.
Grit.
True Grit's a great movie.
Yeah.
El Dorado, the screen sets were like so
Cheesy.
Yeah, it's so cheesy now, but it's such a good movie. You know, James Caan was in that.
Was he really?
Young James Caan.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been around forever, too.
Yeah.
I always see him as Sonny Corleone.
I know you do, but he was like, if you watched El Dorado, he plays the really young, like, guy that likes to throw knives, and he butters up to John Wayne in the movie. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I'm not shitting on old movies. I dig old movies, but it's back to the point. It was like there's an evolution, you know, and the same thing. We're witnessing the evolution of those films too. You know, there's definitely 80s movies, and then you get into Jurassic Park, and CG comes in, and you're like, holy shit,
It rocks your world.
Yeah, and then you get into like really, you know, kind of, you know, like movies that have intrigue and twists to them. You know, you got, like we mentioned last week, The Sixth Sense, and
Still, if you're right,
Unusual Suspects, right?
Two biggest twists.
Yeah, movies like that are totally turning you upside down, like Memento, or even like anything the Coen brothers have done, right? Yeah, it's all good stuff. So you can't, to punctuate the point, is that you can't take George Lucas, go back to 1977 or what, and then say, all right, well, that's what modern moviegoers are going to appreciate now, even though there's still a hardcore fan base.
I think with directors, especially storytellers in that genre, I think they have a finite time to do it. Like, you look at George Lucas, he came out with this whole Star Wars thing, and he had a vision that was awesome. Mm-hmm. But I think it passed him by. The times have passed him by. Maybe not the concept of Star Wars, because I think there's a lot there.
Yeah.
But I think the way he wants to portray it is in the past. Even Spielberg, to some degree, he doesn't really do these big blockbusters anymore.
Well, I mean, he did Ready Player One.
Yeah, I guess maybe if there's one that I could say really transcends that. But most part, how many directors that from the 80s really are going strong today?
I mean, I know Spielberg is still plugging away like a champ. He's doing a lot of producing.
He's more behind the scenes now.
I mean, you would think that up until Ready Player One, when he got behind that film in a big way, and it was definitely an homage to the 80s. Now I sound like I'm contradicting it myself, but it evolved. It wasn't. You could tell it was purposeful, that he was saying, I remember those movies that I used to make. I love this book. It reminds me of that time. It's set in the 80s, so I'm gonna pull some old tricks out of my bag.
But it's almost like these people that are sci-fi directors / action directors now are pulling from their childhood. So that's why it's always evolving into the next set of directors coming up.
Yeah.
Because Spielberg's always going to pull from what he knew when his childhood was. I mean, he wasn't born in the 80s, but he was born, I guess, in the 60s.
Probably in the
50s.
40s.
Yeah, you're right, 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
But he read books about this stuff, and then started implementing it in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And that's why he always goes back to the 80s when he or genres like the 80s. Now you got the Russo brothers, where they grew up with all the Spielberg stuff, but then they always started thinking outside the box even further.
Yeah, and they have different tools too.
Right.
Yeah.
They grew up with more technology based all the time. Yep. So now when they come to the plate with the idea, they're thinking not just what we have now, they're thinking 10 steps ahead. Spielberg was thinking 10 steps ahead when he got to the 80s.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you look at some of the things he pulled off. Like, I remember Poltergeist, and he didn't have the sophisticated. Talk about using practical effects. So I read this article. This is way back. I think it was like Empire Magazine or something like that. And they had said that how he made the lighting effects when you opened up the portal, when you opened up the door, where's the
TV?
No, not the TV. Remember the little girl was sucked into the closet?
Oh, yeah.
And then they pulled her through the ceiling. Mm-hmm. When you opened up the closet, it was like the entrance to the spirit world, and something was keeping her there. And so, but you never, what the effect was, all the flashing lights was, I heard that they had a rack of fish bowls, like old school fish bowls filled with water. And they shined all these bright lights behind it and just shook the fish bowls. And then the refraction of light through the water caused that lighting.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that awesome?
That's cool. It's like little quick thinking.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we don't have computers to do all this stuff now. We're going to do it this way. And it looked really good.
Awesome.
He did a fantastic job.
And I think that type of thinking, that type of innovative on your feet thinking is what filmmakers that need to continue to be relevant need to do.
Yeah.
You know, they need to just keep pushing the envelope, keep telling new and unique stories and a new and unique way. Well, we went on a tangent. We got
get back to the dude. I can go on and on about storytelling and movies and all that.
But it's so back to box office. Smallfoot, the animated movie with about the abominable snowmen.
Again, I don't know. I guess I didn't research. Let me see this because I'm curious about these movies.
It's one of those things where it didn't get a lot of press. It didn't. I didn't see a whole lot of marketing for this movie, but it was. It hit number 2 in the box office, and it hit with
Smallfoot. There it is.
$23 million.
77 on Rotten Tomatoes and 70% fan.
Yeah, I heard it's good. It's gotten decent reviews, but not something that I'm rushing out to go see.
No,
it's not exactly like a Pixar flick or something.
Night School, there it is. Yeah, that got a splash, man. That was 30%.
Was that on Rotten?
Yeah. Nobody liked that.
Kevin Hart, man, he was the dude was. I saw him on Instagram. He had posted that he's dancing because he can't, even though it only did $23 million, still makes him number 1 in the box office. So at the very least, he can say that.
I'm number 1 at the box office,
But he's sitting there, he's in the gym, and the dude, he's one of those guys that I love, like The Rock. The guy's just got a big ass heart, and no pun intended. He's always got this positive outlook on life, and he crushes. Like the guy sells out like arenas.
Didn't he get in trouble with his wife or something, like cheated on her or something like that?
I'm not sure.
Somebody was telling me that. I thought so.
Maybe. I mean, who does it in Hollywood?
Right. Yeah, he got caught. He got caught, and they're working through. They worked through things or something. It was like a dark time in his life or something like that.
Probably, but he seemed like this super positive guy, and it's like, and he is funny. Like when
he's hilarious. His facial expressions when some shot. He was on Jimmy Fallon, not Jimmy Fallon. No,
Jimmy Kimmel.
No, he's on Jimmy Fallon a couple weeks ago, and the crocodile guy's son came on. Yes. He died, and his son came on. He brought all the animals on. He's like, whoo, 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 he's jumping around.
He's great on Jimmy Fallon.
Get that thing away from me. He's like, oh, nuts. It was hilarious. And this little kid, he's 14 years old, is having hawks fly to his hand. And he's like, get that thing away from me. They brought out snakes. He was all freaking out.
I think I saw the clip with him, and I think it was a spider or something like that.
Yeah, that was probably that night.
Yeah, but he was. I remember the first time I laughed my ass off seeing him on TV in a movie was in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
He was in that?
Yeah, he came in starting shit with one of the characters in the electronics store.
Paul Rudd?
No, it was, I can't remember
the other black guy's name.
The other black guy's name.
Yeah, well, he's never been that famous. He's the one dude in that whole movie that never made it real big.
But he's in everything.
He is. If you he's probably in 30 movies. I couldn't even tell you his name, but he's probably the one person. Even the the boss is more famous than him.
Yeah. Jane. Jane. So famous we can't remember.
But at least you know her first name. I didn't even get that far.
But yeah.
Oh God, I said Dyke, man.
There you go.
I'm in trouble now. Probably shouldn't say that.
We're not editing this one.
That was Jamie that said that, by the way. Not Nick.
So Smallfoot came in at number 2. The House with the Clock in Its Walls dropped a little bit, did $12 million.
But that got 100% fan review.
Well, Jamie saw it. He said it was good.
Yeah, he did. He liked it.
Yeah,
but then he liked Back to the Future too.
No accounting for taste.
Well, you can't do that. He's not here to defend himself.
He's not here to defend himself. He beat him up. Fuck him. We'll
we weren't here to bust our balls. So.
We love you, Jamie. A Simple Favor came in at number 4 with about $6.5 million. The Nun, still in the top 10 or top 5. We're only doing top 5 these days. Came in at a little over $5 million. And Crazy Rich Asians, I know we're only doing top 5, but Crazy Rich Asians finally fell out of the top 5 with $4 million.
How much is that total so far?
$165 million domestic gross.
What about world?
Worldwide, it did $220 million.
That's all cha-ching for that movie. Dude.
Oh, yeah. It's all profit, man.
There's probably already signed up for a second sequel, I'm sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Or some it's definitely a success story for sure.
You know what's funny about that, though? Sometimes I think movies take too long to get to the next movie. Like, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, loved it.
Yeah.
It took them 10 years to get to the second movie, and by the time they did, people moved on.
Yeah, PU. Who cares?
You know,
people are over it.
There's only couple movies that ever can do that, and that wasn't one. A comedy is never. If you're going to do a sequel to a comedy, you got to do it within 3 years.
Yeah, I was thinking about that with some of the animated things that go to, well, it wasn't really an animated thing, but I remember feeling similarly when Angry Birds was like the hottest thing ever. Those dudes that were making that video game merchandising, they were doing I think $10 million a day in revenue. Like for making this dinky little video game. Everybody was playing it. And
I played it.
Me too.
There was all kinds of versions. Star Wars
version.
I think there was a Star Trek one too.
Was it really?
I think so. Don't quote me. Don't quote. That could be a fact check.
We can fact check it.
Yeah. One of the few times I'm wrong.
But they came out with the animated movie, and I was like,
I didn't even watch it.
It was like, dude, you are literally 10 years too late.
Yeah.
Nobody even cares about this anymore. I think 10 other versions of that game.
You got to hit while it's hot. Yeah. You know what I mean? You just can't wait on these things, especially with comedies. But if you go to sci-fi, or you could even go thrillers, horror movies, they can wait over years. But if it's a comedy, man, if you don't do a sequel in 2 years, it's usually not that good.
Yeah, well, horror movies especially, they have the month of October, right? They own October because but
they keep coming out with the same ones, and it's fine. Horror, you can do that because the whole premise is good. The comedies that actually did well were Austin Powers.
Yeah,
but they kept popping one out every 2 or 3 years, if you remember.
Yep.
There's 4 of them.
3, I think.
Yeah, but they kept popping them out, so they were funnier and funnier, and it kept going along with the same comedy, so you were fine with it.
Yeah,
it didn't get dry after a while.
Then he came out with the Love Guru or something like that.
Did he really?
Yeah,
but it wasn't Austin Powers.
Yeah, he had. Well, I mean, Mike Myers doesn't hurt him for money. He had Austin Powers, and then he stepped into the Shrek.
He doesn't do anything anymore, does he?
He did Shrek, and it's he's just cashing checks.
Oh, I'm sure he's like the Macaulay Culkin, but better.
Yeah. Let's shift over. We got some news we want to talk about for sure. You and I, this just in, Nicholas. The Jon Favreau took to Instagram I don't even think it's been an hour yet, and posted the premise of his Star Wars series. He's calling it The Mandalorian. So obviously, it's going to take place with the concept of Mandalore, which is also Boba Fett.
And just to our viewers, our listeners,
listeners
who doesn't know anything about Mandalore, just think of Boba Fett and Jango Fett. They wore a Mandalorian outfit. They weren't from Mandalore. They must have stole it somewhere along the lines. But everybody loves the Boba Fett character. Just imagine having a whole series based upon a guy that wearing a suit like that. So I'm hyped about it, and especially Jon Favreau. I mean, he does quality work. I mean, it's not like this guy is a no-name director just thrown out to the wind who hasn't done anything in 10 years, and they decide to give him a whole movie to himself. No, this guy's probably going to. I can't imagine this thing anything but being really well done, or at least decent.
Yeah, well, and the think about this: Jon Favreau, no slouch. You just mentioned it. If he did a shit job on Iron Man, where would the MCU be?
Yeah, it wouldn't be where it is now. I'm sure they still would have kept trying to pop out movies, but
Yeah,
the Iron Man was the launching pad for it all.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Mandalorian history, and I know
a little brief stints because of I watched Rebels and I watched
that's
Clone
right. One of the
Wars.
characters wore Mandalorian armor.
She did. Yeah,
Sabine.
Yeah, you're right. Damn, you knew the name.
I don't know how that came out, but okay.
You're very good with names. I'm not. That's why I need you. You're my fact checker with names. But no, the Mandalore is actually. It's from what I remember, it's a race of warlike people that are almost like what you would classify as ninjas in the Star Wars lineage.
Uh-huh.
How they rank.
Like highly trained badasses.
Right, exactly. They place honor above all else, but they're also like warring tribes too. To a degree, they kind of fell apart. They used to fight the Jedi because they hated the Jedi for some reason.
Oh no shit! I never knew that.
Yeah, and then there was only one Mandalorian Jedi, and he's the one.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Mandalorian Jedi.
That's where he came up with the darksaber.
Holy shit, man!
There's a darksaber in there, and actually,
that's like how do you make badassery more badassery?
And I think. Don't quote me on this, but I think in Rogue One, when they're in the chamber trying to get the archives for the Death Star,
yeah,
they actually say something about a dark saber.
Oh yeah, they do.
They do.
Yes.
So that was like a little nod,
and that was in Rebels.
Was in Rebels. The dark saber came. I don't know if it was in Clone Wars 2, but No, it might have been in Clone Wars too. They might have had the dark saber in Clone Wars, but it definitely was in Rebels.
So if you're going dark saber to lightsaber,
well, it's just a different color saber, but it's like
it's dark.
It's dark, and there was only one person to ever use a dark saber, and that was a Mandalorian Jedi.
That's badass.
I forget what his name was, but he was the Mandalorian. I think he left the Jedi Order and united Mandalore. So whoever
he defected.
No, at that point they weren't enemies. They didn't become enemies until years later. But all the equipment that the Mandalore have, like that Boba Fett has, is equated to fighting Jedis.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
see, that just blows me away, man. Because now I go back to the prequels and you see that. Jango Fett gets into it with Obi-Wan when they're at the clone manufacturing planet, and he sort of he takes him to task a little bit.
They kind of use technology in their favor.
He hits him with the flamethrower. He has a little jetpack. He also has they also have these grappling things they shoot at the Jedis, and I think they also have some kind of electrical spear thing. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember exactly, but from what I remember is there was a war with Mandalore and the Jedis at one point. Yeah.
And they used these technologies to fight off some Jedi at some points.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, what Favreau had posted, he posted the title, and it looks very much like you saw it. It looks very much like the beginning open the scroll. Because it's in the yellow lettering, it's got the black starry background.
It was a cool. Was it tweeted?
Yeah, I have it right here. He goes.
Why don't you just read it?
It's called The Mandalorian. The title. It says, after the stories of Jango and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. We follow the travails of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic. So it's going to be out, I guess, Outer Rim. You know?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I forget where Mandalore technically is.
Either way, man, I trust Jon Favreau, and I'm in.
And you can also have references to Luke Skywalker and all that thrown in there because he's in that time period.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, God. And
excited. And they're going to have Sebastian Stan from. Well, did you ever see online? They say, "Well, who could play a young Luke Skywalker?" And
yeah.
Sebastian Stan. It is uncanny how much they look alike.
They do. Why don't you? While we're on it, real brief, because you told me this the other day, and I did like this.
What?
The theory about Luke Skywalker in the next movie. Not your theory, but whoever put it out.
Which one was that? My brain's mushy.
The Force Unleashed moment. He's gonna have like really extraordinary powers.
Oh yeah, that's right. They said that, I forget where I read the article, but they're actually going to bring some speaking of badassery, bring the much needed badassery that was not in the movie that now shall not be named into episode 9 with Luke Skywalker.
And I just read an article. They're really supposedly going to dive into Rey's lineage.
Yeah, I'm really stoked. I think J.J. Abrams, they're putting it in good hands. And with further Star Wars news, Star Wars Resistance opens up this weekend. Well, not opens up. It debuts this weekend. The animated series. It's going to be on Disney XD.
They just seem like it's making a little too cheesy.
Little grabby.
Yeah, I thought they were grabbing at Rebels, and I got into Rebels a little bit, but I think they're really grabbing at this one.
It's supposed to take place 6 months before The Force Awakens.
I know it's going to overlap The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
they say, eventually.
And Poe Dameron recruits the main character.
Yeah, I figured that was Poe.
Yeah,
and trailer.
Are we beaten down, Nicholas? Are we beaten down? Are we just like?
No, I'm not beaten down. I want good content. We talk about it all the time, and I just don't think that's. First of all, the animation looks like shit.
Yeah, it doesn't look polished at all.
You have a backbone of Disney on that, and it does. Where are you coming up with this animation?
Yeah.
How about you use the animation?
Yeah, you're Disney.
Dude, I watch Mickey's Playhouse with my daughter, and that animation is better than this.
Dude, you know what would be cool? Something hand drawn.
Yes.
That would be awesome. Did you ever watch a cartoon called Samurai Jack?
No.
The same creators from Samurai Jack did the Clone Wars hand drawn. They were little minis years ago of it was Clone Wars. They did all the characters from the Clone Wars. It was that little mini series was better than all 3 movies in my book. Check it out, dude.
I have to look it up.
It's a very stylized animation. And they let them out and published them, I think, in like 2 or 3 minute vignettes, and they were just like there and gone. But it was by the same people that did Samurai Jack. And the reason I bring it up is because it's this style that's really cool, man. And it's not for everybody. I really dug it. It's very, it's just different. It's not. It's easy to just say I'm going to create something CG or I'm going to animate something, and automatically I think everybody's going to CG.
I think they overuse that too much.
I do too. They're going to change I'm totally shifting gears, but they're going to change the credit opening to Walking Dead.
Why?
It looks cool.
It comes up this week, doesn't it?
Yeah. It looks.
Should have had.
Are you jacking it?
You should have had Shannon on tonight as the guest.
Yeah, well, we'll have her the week after the first premiere. But it's like I like the old one better.
I have to see. I have to see what you're talking.
It's very CG.
I'm just worried about the season. I know we're switching gears to that, but
I think this is the last season. Honestly,
for me, it might be. It's not the last season because I know they have Norman Reedus. What is his name?
Reedus. Yeah.
Reedus. They signed him $20 million for the 10 season or something.
Their viewership gets cut down to a third. They're done.
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah. Fear of the Walking Dead's almost dead now. Literally, that's not pardon the pun, but it's like their viewership has tanked this year. And
I think the only reason that thing even had a lifeline was obviously because of the Walking Dead. Sorry, go ahead.
I know. I was going to say I said it in the last episode we did or the week before. Rick leaving is a huge, big deal for
Totally.
me. And then the other thing is, we talked about it. I know we talked about it last week. Has to have an ending. You guys aren't giving us
Yeah.
something of an ending. If they all die, they all perish. At least there's a freaking ending. Hint to something.
Although in that animated beginning, if the reporting on this is accurate and this is the actual opener, it's very dark. They start off with these crows animated, sort of flying away. You see zombies, of course, but you also see a tree that's like got no branches on it. And as it starts to fade off into the horizon, you see leaves blossom from the tree. So if that's a sign, maybe they do start to hint at a cure. But then they'd have to do something with the comic book too, and Robert Kirkman isn't giving up that comic book anytime soon.
Well, the comic book, the show is already branched off from the comic book in numerous ways.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, the show got to be like, we're doing our thing. It's like, go back to Game of Thrones. I mean, he hasn't released the final 3 books.
True.
So, but the show said, we can't wait. We're just gonna go ahead with it. Just tell us the ending, or we'll make up an ending. Mm-hmm. And he told him the ending. But if this guy's not going to give up the comic books, I mean, does he have that? Does he have the rights to creative rights to the show?
He still owns the comic book.
But what about the show? Does he own the creative rights to it?
I'm sure AMC's got a chunk of that.
That's
I don't know what the deal is. He's always got this producing credit. He's in the writing room with the writers, Robert Kirkman, and so I don't know what kind of deal he has.
I just, you're going 9 seasons and you're already signed up for a 10th.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of my favorite shows, but
Yeah.
even for me, it's losing my interest a
You get
little bit.
fatigued.
Yeah. I mean, I love the show, but how long can you see these group of people go through this hardships?
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, I always liked it when it was like 6 or 7 people.
Yeah.
Now that you have like hundreds of people that they communicate with, it's getting old for me.
Yeah, I think it has. It's lost its luster a little bit. There's definitely some shadow on the show. Where it goes, who knows? My level of excitement, I'm with you, man. My level of excitement isn't what it used to be.
I mean, remember we used to talk like 2-3 years ago when we first started hanging out, and it's like, oh, The Walking Dead's coming up. I can't wait. Oh my God, what are they going to do this season? Where they're going with these characters?
Oh yeah, like I think we're both on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, we want new. We want something to shock us, and they're not shocking us, and that's hard. That's sad to say when they're dealing with zombies.
And AMC, that's their big show.
That's their only big show.
Yeah, they got to come up with something.
Better
else
Call
to-
Saul is not. I heard it's good, but I've never invested any time into it.
It's still a spinoff from The Champ, which is as far as that series is concerned, which is Breaking Bad.
And is the Mayans on that? That's FX.
I'm not sure, but hopefully, I mean, AMC's no slouch now that they have had those hits, a series of hit shows.
Yeah, but if you only had to have a couple hit shows, I mean, you got all Netflix throwing out hit shows every other week.
Yeah, well, they're doing releasing 100 show or 50 shows like in a month. In the month of September, we went over that. New Netflix
And I
original
love
content.
every second of it. I might not watch them all, but I might get to them someday.
Yep, I agree.
Or I might have somebody else watch it and say, you need to watch this, Nick, and then I'll pick it up.
100%. Well, in other news, so Venom's hitting this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's totally getting shit on by the
There's
critics.
another one with good concept.
Yeah.
Bad writing, probably. It looks like a bad
try
storytelling.
too hard and just come on, man. It's Venom gets his. Jamie said it too. Venom gets his powers from Spider-Man. He's a symbiote, right? And now there's been many incarnations, so they had to take. I had a feeling they had to take so many liberties in order to get this thing out there. There's been some comments that people say, when you hear comments like, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. You're like, oof, that is not a glowing review.
You're not going into it too high hopes there at all. You heard comments like it's as
What
bad
did
as
you
bad-
hear? That was funny.
It's about as bad as Catwoman.
And Halle Berry.
Not Halle Berry. There's only one Halle Berry Catwoman.
No, you're
There's
right.
only one
You're right.
Catwoman movie. At least Catwoman had Halle Berry. It's something
Yeah.
good to look at.
Some of the other comments that I saw, and this is going from like Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes, were dated compared to what the audience are now used to, basically because of the bar that the MCU has set.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a Marvel property. It may not be owned by Marvel, but it's
Fox, right?
It's Sony.
Sony, yeah. That's funny. They have partial rights to Spider-Man. I don't know how that works right now.
Yeah. I mean, they wanted to make money. They're going to be like, hey, if it's a business, and someone says, yeah, the past 3 Spider-Mans that we did.
In a little bit, that's all Sony's going to have, because when Disney takes over all the other shit, they're going to have this little bunch of characters they can have, and nobody's going to give a fuck.
Nah. Now, well, and they're just putting nails in their coffin by putting out shit like Fantastic Four and Venom and all the other crap.
Well, Sony doesn't own Fantastic Four. I thought that was
Fox.
That was Fox. Yeah.
But I guess that's my point. You're right. I misspoke. But my point is
I fact checked you during the show, man.
Thank you, brother.
That's legit right there. You got to understand.
But the point is that they set the fucking bar so high now that the people that were going to the movies originally were Marvel fans, obviously, right? And so now people are associating that Marvel movie with this Marvel movie, with that Marvel.
It's standard. Almost like these other what do you call studios are pissed off at Disney because now they created such an entity that of high quality, of linking everything together and making them all really entertaining, that these other studios can't get away with just throwing out a superhero movie and making
fuck yeah, man,
making $300 million.
They should be challenging these people, man.
Because you remember back when Spider-Man came out, don't get me wrong, when it first came out with the Tobey Maguire one, it was good
compared to anything else out
at
there.
The time. There was nothing. Now if you put that up with what's going on now, that movie sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say, I will not watch that.
Even that version of Venom was stinky.
Yeah. Stinky.
That was stinky.
That was good.
It was good.
It's like my daughter going to, it is stinky.
It was stinky.
But I mean, now I won't even watch those movies. Not even the first one. It's just like, it just doesn't meet up to the par. And my point is, I think all these other, like, Warner Brothers and all these people were like 20 years ago were like, oh, we can release a superhero movie and make a lot of money. It doesn't have to be that good.
Yeah. We just need to hold on to the rights, so let's make another one.
We'll just make another one. That's what they did with all the Batmans.
Good damn. Jesus Christ. Anyway, some of the other things were dated. One thing I thought that was interesting, and I saw this little blurb in an article about Venom, was that Tom Hardy's
money grab.
Yeah, but Tom Hardy's favorite scenes from the movie aren't even in the movie. They cut them out.
Are you serious?
I think now it could be being misquoted, but that there was, what I read in this article was that exactly, meaning that he probably went on record somewhere and says, "Yeah, my favorite scene is this and this," and then they weren't even in the movie.
Yeah, he got blindsided by that one, didn't he?
Yeah, well,
Well, I mean,
unless he's purposefully trying to distance himself,
right now. Unless the critics are totally off the point. We've seen it before. Mm-hmm. And we will not name that movie.
Yeah.
But everybody's pointed this to being a dog.
Yeah.
Everybody's point. And I almost feel bad for Tom Hardy. Not really, not totally, because he probably cashed a nice $10 million paycheck for this crap. Yeah. Maybe more.
He'll do an art film next.
Yeah, right. But I mean, why, dude? Why put your name to? Now you're going to be associated with this crap. Now people are not going to take you seriously if you do get a good superhero role.
Yeah.
You're Venom, dude. You suck.
Yeah. Come on, man.
They're never going to go down the street
unless they bring in Spider-Man. There has been talk that they will meet in the future. And maybe that's a deal that they work out later on, just like they worked out.
You know what? It could have, but if this movie takes a dog, Disney's not going to buy into that crap.
But if it goes the other way, right? So now it's a Spider-Man movie with Tom Hardy in it. You know what I mean?
No, but Marvel's so good about tying things together the right way.
Yeah.
I don't see how they would fit that.
And that's speaking of which, that's why I think that X-Men are going to space. I think X-Men are going to space because that's you see. There's in the Dark Phoenix trailer. They're going to rescue somebody in outer space.
You think Disney got a hand in that and said, we got to change some things up?
I think there's been talk. I mean, I have no. This is all speculation.
Because it's not finalized. I mean, they might be able to get their input because they know it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, the shit's been pushed out yet again.
I know.
You know,
they said it's because it's something to do with. I forget what they said. It's something to do with.
It smells like a shit show, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, it does. It sounds like they were rushing the production to get this in because they really wanted to do this Dark Phoenix, which because everybody knows in comic book land is one of the greatest comic books for X-Men, and they really were pushing the envelope to get this in there, so under the wire. And I just feel it's going to be like. What was the one that the other time they did the Phoenix one? Last Stand.
X-Men 3, yeah.
Yeah, Last Stand. I feel like they're going to push it to just get it out there, just to get it under the wire so they can put it out there so before Disney can take control.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, maybe, or maybe
Gambit
because
movie, Gambit movie's still greenlit too.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, the thing with X-Men was such a great property, right? Oh, by the way, they're dropping X-Men from the title and they're just calling it Dark Phoenix. Which is interesting.
That is interesting.
You know, like, I don't know if that's a distancing themselves from the brand of X-Men or if they're just assuming that Dark Phoenix is such a well-known story that why not be bold and just call it what it is. But the thing that I mentioned earlier about going to outer space, that they might actually encounter the Nova Corps. That's been some of the rumors.
Possibly.
But if they encounter the Nova Corps... then that to me signifies that they're talking to Marvel, and Marvel's like, well, we own Nova Corps.
Yeah.
So let's start to weave and knit some of this thing together.
Yeah, possibly. I would figure.
I don't care, man. I just want it to be good, and I want them to be brought into this universe.
I know, but I figure Marvel will want us to take over from a clean slate and just say, I just want to say, cut that. Whatever was made before we took over, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And then we're going to put our stamp of approval on it, which will automatically give us people to come to the movie theaters double what you had just because we stamped it.
Yeah. Do you think we'll ever see Wolverine in a yellow suit with big flared out fins on his head?
Oh, God, I hope not.
I did like when they pulled into the Wolverine movie where he goes to Japan and then he's on the plane. Did you see that?
No.
He's on the plane at the end credits. I think it's an after credits scene. And he gets a gift from Yuriko, from the female lead assassin in the movie, and he opens up this briefcase and it's this gift, and they call it out as like, you know, the old school samurai masks with the ugly faces.
Yeah, but it was that.
It was the Wolverine costume.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, boing.
Don't get me wrong. In the comics, it was awesome, but I just can't see it take place. It would be so cheesy in the movies.
Which is probably why they kind of took a step back. I don't know.
It's going to be hard to. The only thing I'd say about
Daredevil had little horns on his head.
They got away from that. Little horns.
Yeah.
Little horns. Not like.
Yeah.
But also, he didn't wear that until the very end.
True.
And even in this trailer, it doesn't seem like he's wearing it too much.
No, he's going old school brawler.
And that's what I like about it, though. They'll weave these little things in, they give a little nod to it, but then it'll be like, all right, we got to actually do what would actually be somewhat reality. You're not going to see a wolf. If you saw a guy walking around with a horn like that, you'd be like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, it'd be a little ridiculous. You're right. I know.
I know it gives you a chubby, and probably gives Jamie a chubby too. Swing.
So I'll tell you, out of this, back to Spider-Man, the only thing I am looking forward to, obviously Spider-Man Far From Home, but in the interim.
Did you see the, well, not to cut you off, the pictures of what Jake Gyllenhaal looks like Magneto?
Yes,
I mean, it wasn't like him standing up, but there was, I guess somebody had a drone flying over top and they got like sneak shots.
Mysterio.
It looks pretty good.
It looks legit. And I thought Mysterio was an illusionist, but it turns out he was an old stuntman stuntman / special effects guy. And that's how he got to do his illusions and stuff like that, smoke and stuff like that. But his physical prowess, this is Marvel. I don't know how they're going to play it in Far From Home. But, yeah, he was kind of down on his luck and started robbing banks and stuff like that. But it looks like they're embracing some of the old school Marvel costumes. It's cool that he's...
That's why you love Marvel. They do the nods.
Yes.
Just enough nods because people are not stupid. You know you're not going to be able to do exactly what's in the comic book, but you do that little nod like you did with the horns with Daredevil, and you're just like, that's awesome. He wore it for an episode. Now he's not wearing it anymore, but you still had it.
Yeah, and even going into Thor, right? You're like, his costume's ridiculous. And then you go into Ragnarok because Thor had the big wings, and he gets in the arena, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, look what you did. That was...
And they made it. They didn't make it cheesy.
No! He goes and he puts his helmet on with one hand, and then he's like, flick. And I'm like, yes, thank you. I almost rolled a tear.
And he only wore it for a little bit, but it's all he needed.
That's it, man. Yeah. And even like, when they introduced fucking name it. They're just doing it right.
That's why why are they doing it right? Because they have a guy in control that just does it right. He knows what he wants and he takes care of it.
Some creative genius going on. Switching gears over to DC as far as the news, Teen Titans, that's the show called Titans. It's coming to
not Teen Titans.
It's Teen Titans.
It's like where the guy says "fuck Batman."
Yes, it's like they're talking about Green Arrow when they just say Arrow. Right? Yeah. So the new trailer came out. It looks decent. It looks actually better than the first one.
I didn't see the second trailer. I saw the first one.
It's a longer trailer. It looks like it's going to be fun. It's a little on the cheese side. Like not even like dialogue wise, but just the aesthetic seems like it's a little cheap. That's what I'm thinking.
You would think DC would put a lot of money into this because if it's going to be on their streaming service.
Well, that's the fucked up thing I wanted to mention is that it's going to be on their streaming service, and the long trailer that I saw had Netflix all over it, and I was like, what? Turns out, because they don't have international streaming for their new DC universe, they're putting it on Netflix outside of the country.
But there's always codes to get that, isn't there?
Dude, it's going to get hacked and whacked like so many times.
Because I'm not going to pay for their service.
That's like...
Hell no.
They're like, we're going to put it on Netflix internationally. I'm like, yeah, you keep doing that. Why don't you do that with all your products? Just hold your breath and wait for that money to roll in. I mean, come on, man. It's like,
So you're right.
I'm a little pissed about it because, I'm pissed because
you're going to rent a service, aren't you?
Well, I heard about the ways of getting to international through codes, like you said, but that's for people who break the law, Nicholas, not me.
Not me either. There's people that have fire sticks out Amazon, the fire sticks. Not me. I don't do anything. I
just heard about those criminals. Yeah. And the other thing I'm thinking about too, and I didn't know why they did it, but Teen Titans Cyborg was a big character. And Cyborg's not in this.
No,
because he's in the movie universe with the Justice League.
Well, you can't do that. Not that movie universe is doing well right now.
Yeah, well, he's getting his own movie
Oh,
eventually.
is he really?
That's what they say.
They gotta make that character. They gotta have somebody next to him that has a comic relief because he is so fucking boring.
Yeah. In the movie, he's like, and he's not in the comics.
No, I remember watching the old cartoons.
And Teen Titans Go, man, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, they made him so boring. And oh god, I get it. You're fucked up.
Yeah. And last in the news is Lilo and Stitch has finally got a nod to they're going to do a live action of Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I did see that.
Yeah.
Well, Disney's pumping that shit out right now.
They're just saying, and this.
I mean, I can't wait for The Lion King. I think it comes out this summer.
That lion we said this before, but holy crap. Yeah. And I was all ready to shit on them doing these live action remakes because I'm like, have an original idea, Disney. All you're doing, and that's what killed them when Pixar came around and started kicking their ass all over the place when they were doing straight to video stuff in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like because they ran out of steam and they didn't have any original content, and they just kept doing, the princesses live
The
straight
second
to video.
Yeah. Lion King 2.5 or whatever.
Exactly. And then I was like, is there not an original thought in their brain? But
Moana came out.
Moana came out, and then they started making decent movies again. But I would honestly, I enjoy the live action stuff, but I would love to see a live action original content, like something that they haven't done already.
I think they'll get there.
Yeah,
I think that's where it's all going.
Yeah,
Beauty and the Beast. I watched it. It wasn't bad.
It was good.
The cartoon's still better, but it was good.
Truth.
It was good.
Cartoon is still better.
I love who they got playing Gaston. The guy.
Yeah, names coming out of my head.
He plays Bones, doesn't he? In the start.
Oh, was that? Oh, yeah. Wasn't
that him?
Fact check.
Damn it. I think I'm wrong there.
The only thing I am looking, like I said, the only thing I'm looking forward to as far as Spider-Man and outside of Spider-Man Far From Home is Into the Spider-Verse. It's the animated thing that's coming out in December, I believe.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different Spider-Mans.
Yeah, it just looks fun. It looks fun. It looks interesting. It looks. I love the way it's stylized. They're showcasing Miles Morales, which I think was a great comic book run, great character. I'm definitely digging it.
On a different note, I do want to get into a trailer that we briefly talked about it in the open. The Dick Cheney trailer. I really digged it.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it's not usually the type of thing we talk about on this show.
Was he an evil son of a bitch?
Oh my God. Man? He was all about power, dude. I was like, oh my God. And he was like, George W. Bush came. I like who they got playing George W. Bush. I can't remember the guy's name.
Sam, yeah.
He's a good, he makes
fantastic.
A good George W. Bush too. And he's like holding George W. Bush by the balls. Dude.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, you want me, don't you?
He's eating chicken wings.
Because I'm a CEO of a company.
Yeah. And how much did Christian Bale transform himself? Like he's got the tilted jaw, like where his jaw juts out a little bit. They show the scene which looks like when he shot that dude in the chest.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then,
God damn, he might be an asshole in real life, but he is one hell of a fucking method actor.
Oh yeah, man.
I'm surprised he's never won an Oscar.
He just might for this.
I mean, there's been a couple movies where you think Psycho, American Psycho.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Did he win for that? He had to get nominated, right?
Maybe. We don't watch award shows, so who knows?
No, I don't watch it.
So
unless there's like a Lord of the Rings type movie that takes a lot of nods, then I tune in.
Yeah, or the Emmys with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks awesome. And outside, just in general movies, the Bradley Cooper movie that's coming out with Lady Gaga.
That's the fourth remake of that movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how many times are you going to try? But I heard everybody's crushing it.
Yeah.
Like loving it.
I heard, what's his name? I'm bad with names tonight. It's Spicoli. Sean Penn. He was, I heard an interview with him. He was gushing over this movie, and he's a legit filmmaker. Like he understands the art and craft of creating good drama, and he was just blown away by this. Couldn't speak highly enough about this movie. And it turns out Bradley Cooper, was involved 3 years ago, learned how to play the guitar, took singing lessons, worked with a dialect coach in order to get this sort of twangy accent.
Another great actor, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll ever win an Oscar because I think he
might be a contender with this movie.
I don't know if he has that range. I mean,
but as director.
Oh, as a director. But you got the Quiet Place too in there too. I think he should be up for that too.
Well, that wasn't Bradley Cooper.
I know. No, I mean, I was just saying.
Yeah, that was John Krasinski.
He should be up for that too.
But that's a great point because these are two actors that came out of the woodwork and stepped into directors' roles and knocked it out of the friggin' park. Or supposedly, I haven't seen it yet, but it's all live performances. It's supposed to be phenomenal.
And Lady Gaga, I gotta admit, without all the makeup, she doesn't look bad.
Nah, that's like, I think they picked the perfect person for that role because if you remember the way she came out, she always came out very costumed.
Yeah.
And then at one point, she started to take off the makeup and you started to see her as a person. She's a pretty woman, you know?
Yeah. And
for
she's
sure.
very talented.
And talented
We
as
talked
fuck,
about
dude.
that a couple episodes back.
Yeah.
Very talented.
So I'm going to break from form. And if I do go to the movies this weekend, not going to be Venom. It'll probably be this Bradley Cooper
You can
movie.
take your wife, man.
Yeah.
2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, I could say, I don't really want to see this. Just play it up like it's a stinker.
And like it's her idea.
Cash in. Although now I'm on record, so all she has to do is listen to the podcast.
She doesn't listen to the whole thing. She was about the first 10 minutes and they turned that sucker off.
I won't be found out by her listening to the podcast for sure. What else? The only thing I have left in the news is really about video games. And we're going to do a short episode. We figure it's going to be at least a third shorter.
Oh, you can't do it without my man. That's his thing.
Well, it's one thing.
His stick.
His shtick.
Yeah.
The last thing is in video game news. There's been some stills leaked and immediately taken down.
The Harry Potter?
Yes.
Yeah, it looked cool.
It did.
I
look
saw
cool.
that.
Yeah,
I did.
And it's like, I'm surprised it was kept so hush hush for so long. Like, these didn't even look like, the studio goes and goes, we're going to quote unquote leak this.
Yeah. I think somebody did it. Like,
they're saying it was a tester. Like someone who was doing testing the video games, it might have took some quick stills.
I didn't even know they were making one. It looked really cool.
That's the thing that surprised me.
Yeah.
And
you think this would have been done years ago?
Yeah, or it would have been a Fantastic Beasts video game.
No, they're doing Harry Potter, I believe.
Yeah, I wonder if it could be just a bunch of BS.
Hey, man, that's one of the video games I probably would try.
Yeah, for sure. What are you kidding me?
I love that. I love the Harry Potter world, man. It's awesome.
Well, you did all that stuff at Disney.
Oh, dude, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Do you imagine what they're going to do with this Star Wars thing?
They're serving alcohol at the Star Wars thing. First,
get my Wookiee on, man.
Well, they serve alcohol at Epcot, but it's the first alcohol to be served outside Epcot.
Yeah.
And Disney, I believe. Don't quote me on that one. I thought I read an article about that.
Did you see who was in Mark Hamill? Looked like he was in some medieval garb.
What show is that? It's like the second season. The guy, because I was like, oh, is this a new show he's going to be in? But then I'm reading his second season, and I'm like, I didn't understand that either.
Yeah.
He looked cool. He looked good.
Yeah, I'll have to do some poking
It looked like he would suit him in a role like that.
Yeah, it does look good for sure. I mean, it looked like a role that would be appropriate for his age.
Well, wouldn't that be awesome if that was actually a picture of him being in the offshoot show for Game of Thrones? I'm like, 2 for 1. 2 for 1. You get Mark Hamill in Game of Thrones. Love it.
That's all I have for this week, Nicholas. And like I said, we're going to do 2/3 of a show in honor of our absent teammate. And anything else before we close out?
No, man, I got nothing. I think it was a solid show. I wish we had Jamie here because he always makes it better.
Yeah, that's true. Or Jerry. We can bring Jerry in.
Could be Jerry.
Yeah, he replaced Jamie.
I like Jerry, but there's no Jamie, man. Jamie's one of a kind. Wait. I got to say one thing. Howard Stern. That's all I got to say.
There you go. All right.
We had to
In
have
Jamie's
that.
absence, we mentioned Howard Stern, Grade A Cocksmith, and legit, quote unquote. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this week's episode of the Nick, John, and Jamie Show. And you know what? Skip the rest. Have an awesome week.